Happy belated Columbus Day, America. Yeah, see, exactly. I know. I set off all kinds of people starting the show off with that. I'm certain of it. All right, but anyway, happy belated Columbus Day. Welcome to In the Booth. I am Jim Bunner, America's greatest journalist right here on Talk Central Phoenix. And yes, you know what? Yesterday was Columbus Day. Yesterday was the day that we celebrate a voyage that made America possible. Believe it or not, yes, the reason that we celebrate the voyage of Christopher Columbus is because this led directly to the creation of our country, the United States of America. Because guess what Columbus did? Columbus allowed immigrants and diversity to come to North America. All right. Now, I know that I upset some people because, as you heard it on the Chips and Salsa show about an hour ago, there are people who have decided that they hate Columbus Day so much that they're actually going to go out and riot and protest over it. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit, but, you know, I'm sure everybody out there is probably saying, okay, well, why are you not talking about Amy Coney Barrett? Why are you not coming on here and talking about the hearings? Well, you know something, the whole thing about Amy Coney Barrett is big. It's important. It's going on in the news. All right. Quite frankly, I think that with this being so close to Halloween, it would be great if Amy Barrett would just show her crucifix sometime. You know, just show it to these Democrats who are questioning her, and all of a sudden you just hear this hiss, it burns. I think that would be funny. Yeah, that would be great if Amy would just pull out her crucifix and just scare some of these people. Just scare Diane Franken-Feinstein when she's talking about how the dogma is strong with Amy Barrett. But no, actually, you know something? With this being Columbus Day, or the day after Columbus Day, most normal Americans got done celebrating Columbus Day because we like the fact that our country exists. Okay, we are thankful that America exists. But some of these people who have got a problem with Columbus Day, they went out and they rioted, they were violent in Portland, and as you heard on the Chips and Salsa show, apparently there was something going on in New Mexico, if I remember correctly, listening to the Chips and Salsa show tonight. Yeah, so some of these people, which is just incredible because they believe that America is quote-unquote stolen land. But what I don't think those people understand is that Christopher Columbus coming to America brought immigrants and diversity to America. Okay, now that's one way to look at it. You know, some of these people who say that this is stolen land, that's their way of looking at it. But another way to look at it is to say that, well, America has immigrants because Christopher Columbus sailed to the New World. All right, and the immigration thing really has not been looked at as much in this political season as it was, say, 4 years ago. All right, some people happen to feel that it should be. Now, I've got a guest coming on today, and she happens to feel that this immigration situation is so important that she's got a documentary coming out on Friday dealing with immigration. How appropriate. You know, the same week that we celebrate Columbus Day, this person has a documentary about illegal immigration. I'm bringing on today Namrata Singh Gujaral, who is director of America's Forgotten, the new illegal immigration documentary that is premiering on October 16th. Namrata, thanks a lot for coming on In the Booth today.
Jim, thank you for having me.
All right, so talk to me a little bit about yourself. Now, first and foremost, did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, you did. You did.
Okay, good. I appreciate you letting me know that because I've been spending all week getting ready for this interview, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to get this name right. So, talk to me a little bit about yourself. I'm guessing that you must have ties to recent immigrants.
Yes, I do, and my family's from India. You were talking about Amy Barrett earlier, and I was watching the Kamala Harris. So that's her name, Kamala. I know we say Kamala here, but I was watching that little exchange. And so, yes, I come from a family of very proud Sikhs. Sikhism is a religion in India. They wear turbans, don't cut their hair. They're very proud people. We have lots of Sikh Americans here in the U.S., and I couldn't be more proud of my roots, but even prouder of the country that I belong to, that I salute the flag of, which is the United States.
All right, and one thing to remember about Sikhs is Sikhs believe in the oneness of all religions, correct?
Yes. Wow, I'm so impressed.
See, I got your name correct, and I know a little bit about the Sikh faith, so I'm 2 for 2 so far. So
I love it.
Good. See, we're having fun on the radio already. This is awesome. This is fantastic.
This is awesome.
Okay, so America's forgotten. Evidently, the immigration thing is big for you. I mean, it's important. Talk to me a little bit about what America's Forgotten is, why you're premiering this, a little bit about your documentary.
Sure. So, Jim, I'm a filmmaker. I've made several films in the past. I've only made one other documentary. Typically, they've been narratives, and the other documentary I made was 10 years ago with Olivia Newton-John and Melissa Etheridge and Jacqueline Smith, etc. It was a documentary on a woman's journey through cancer. So very different from immigration. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. I survived breast cancer and then blood cancer, and live in God's grace every single day. I was actually in India last year. I am making another documentary called Finding Match, which is a documentary on finding bone marrow transplant matches within minority communities. A little bit more of a challenge than some other communities, particularly Asian communities. Very hard to find a bone marrow transplant match. And I was in India. I was shooting that picture, and I'm a registered Democrat. I say that very openly in my film, and I follow politics. So I actually, somewhere in the Himalayas, I found a television, and I wanted to watch the first Democratic primary debate that night with 9 contenders, I believe it was. I was watching that, and Julian Castro was speaking about a father and a daughter who had just that week died crossing the Rio Grande while they were coming to the U.S. And that was a story that really struck me. And the following morning, I was just sort of doing a Google search on the little girl who died in the river while crossing. And because I had my Google location services on, it showed me a different girl who had died that week, happens to be about 10 hours away from where we're shooting Finding Matt. And I was having breakfast with my crew, and I said, guys, I feel like the universe, I mean, there's a reason for this. I think we should go follow this girl's story. And honestly, when I went to look for the story, I was looking to showcase the persecution or the poverty or the violence or whatever that extreme circumstance would be that would have her parents leave India with this little child and come to the U.S. border to seek refuge. It took me a few days. I was helped by several journalists that have covered illegal immigration from India and South Asia for many years, and they connected me with the girl's family around the same time that CNN did an article on this very same story. And I think the big aha moment for me was when I actually went to cover the story with my crew, and we actually passed the house a couple of times because we kept thinking, well, this can't be it. I mean, this looks like a nice neighborhood. It's, middle class, perhaps even upper middle class for India. It can't be this. Why would they leave this to, try to go through the desert to go to the U.S.? Ultimately, we did find the family. We did speak to them. The story is in the movie. And what I can tell you is that it got me so angry because I felt that I had been lied to my entire life by my own party. And I decided to go around the world, cover illegal immigration stories from around the world, and then come back to America, cover the stories of Americans on this side of the border. And ultimately, America's Forgotten talks about people on both sides of the border, none of who are helped by illegal immigration. The only people that illegal immigration helps are the coyotes who get paid thousands of dollars per case, and the politicians who get the votes, because that's how they get some of their funding for their public education funds or some of the other funds. So that is the story behind the film. It's a 1-year story where my own journey did a pivot to the point where in the film I talk about how I will not be voting for Joe Biden because I am very, very sad for the Democratic Party right now.
Well, Namrata, surely somebody besides the coyotes and the politicians has to benefit from illegal immigration. I mean, otherwise some of these people in these impoverished areas would not be, crossing the Pacific Ocean from Asia to try to sneak into the United States or sneak across the U.S.-Mexico border or whatever they're doing. Surely some of these people have to benefit from it, don't they?
Well, I can tell you that with our investigations, and I can only speak to what we found during the course of filming this documentary, the three beneficiaries, if you will, of illegal immigration largely are coyotes, politicians, and then perhaps corporations that do hire illegal immigrants or H-1B visa workers or several other visas that allow for Americans to lose their jobs to folks that are willing to work for cheaper. So we do discuss that in the picture. In terms of what you're talking about with people actually benefiting, yes, I'm sure that there's a small minority that do benefit, but here's the important thing that we found. What we found was that, so South Asia, for example, $50,000 to $75,000 per person that they pay a coyote to get to the U.S. Honduras, Central America, anywhere to the tune of $10,000 to $15,000, and they actually run summer specials on this stuff where sometimes you can get it for $8,000. Mexico, $6,000 to $10,000, sometimes $12,000 if there's a bunch of people wanting to come over. Although the illegal immigration from Mexico has actually declined in the past couple of years statistically. So when you look at the folks that are coming over, and we cover the truly impoverished in some of these countries, those folks don't even have the money to consider paying these coyotes. And you don't just sort of, decide to go on this big journey one day and come over. There is an entire transportation machine behind this that brings you from these countries to Ecuador or to some of the South American countries. Then there are donkeys that will bring you to Central America. There's other conduits that will take you to Mexico. And finally, you cross the border. So this is a very well-planned scheme that is orchestrated by folks that charge a lot of money for it.
Okay, well, Namrata, you say that you are upset with the state of the Democrat Party. You feel that you have been lied to. Well, let's just play devil's advocate here. Donald Trump, for example, 4 years ago said that he was going to build a great big wall and that he was going to have illegal immigration taken care of. Well, as far as I know, there's still right around 11 million illegal aliens in the United States, and I think only about 300 miles of this, 1,500-mile border actually have a border wall on it. So, I mean, could somebody argue that the Republican Party has also failed the American people?
Well, I haven't actually studied the Republican Party as much as I've studied the Democrats, purely from a personal standpoint, because I wanted to know the party that I had committed so many years to, why I had not been given the right messaging and the right information on this particular issue, given that's another case that we make in the film. We're all immigrants, if you think about it, generationally, whether you're first generation or fifth generation immigrant, unless you're Native American, someone brought you, right? In the words of President Obama. So I will say that I was reading just, I think this morning or yesterday, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and they overturned Trump's decision to use some of those military funds toward the border wall. I mean, there's only so far you can go without having someone constantly shove obstacles in your way, unless it's a dictatorship, which we don't live under. So I think that I'm not saying the Republicans, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying that Republicans are great with this and Democrats have failed us. I will say that I do believe at this point in time, at least Republicans' messaging, which I think is really key here, is in the right place. So I think you got to start on a path to be able to finish that journey. If you're not even on that path, you're definitely not going to get to the end of that journey.
All right. So the illegal immigration documentary that you've got is America's Forgotten. It premieres on October 16th. Tell our listeners where they can view your show.
Sure. So it's currently got an exclusive run with Salem just for the next couple of days. But please come to America's Forgotten Movie. You can Google it, or americasforgottenmovie.com. We're going to be on many different platforms. I have to very quickly also just say, if I have a second, Jim, we've actually been thrown out of several platforms, and I've been told that the documentary is very political, in quotes, in nature, and hence might swing the election. This is not a big documentary. I kid you not. So, yes, I know. And I'm just sitting here shaking my head thinking, wow, I guess there's a documentary right there. But America's Forgotten Movie, and I appreciate anyone who will go watch it to learn as much as support it, to learn about illegal immigration, because it comes from very unbiased and a very, very informational and factual standpoint.
You know something, Namrata? I've had a couple different shows about assaults on free speech. I've had a couple people come on and talk about assaults on free speech that are going on, but just what you just said right there. Somebody saying that they're going to take your show off of their platform because it's going to sway the election. Clearly, these people don't understand how political elections work. It's not a matter of how much propaganda is out there. It's just a matter of, which is silly. You know, I think that what you just said to me right there might go along with some of these other interviews I've done about assaults on free speech here in the United States. You know, this is great stuff.
Absolutely. And Jim, I will say, and you can cut me out anytime, like our time is over, but I will say, so I've made a lot of films that are based out of India, for example, and there's a censor bureau in India. So basically, when you make a film in India and you put it out, it goes through a censorship department, not to be confused with the MPA ratings in the US, where they will actually have you take content out. They wouldn't just put an advisory on it. They will actually have you delete or add content as they see fit. It's ridiculous. China's got the same censorship problems. And today, for the first time, I can say, unfortunately, in the United States of America, we have something similar to a censorship, and it is disgusting.
Good Lord. All right. Well, once again, Namrata Singh Gujaral, who has come on today to talk about her documentary about illegal immigration. It's called America's Forgotten. Namrata, thanks a lot for coming on today. This has been very informative and, quite frankly, fun.
Thank you, Jim. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to have more in the booth coming up right after this.
In the Booth will return after these quick but very important